All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Hey, so good morning, the Florida Wrestling Room. Here we are again, Dan Ward, we're starting to affectionately call this Step to the Line because we step to the line when you guys wrestle. So kind of a cool thing that Ricky came up with. But good morning. I'm here with the Campbell head coach, Scotti Sentes, who is obviously a big name in Florida wrestling with 4 state championships here in the state of Florida, a Central Michigan wrestler, 4-time qualifier, 2-time All-American. And I really, really, really appreciate you coming on here. I know you've got some big news for us, and just take it away, sir.
Yeah, so it's been a long process, but finally able to make my first hire, hiring Wynn Michelak. So Wynn, I actually knew as an athlete when he was a grad assistant at Central Michigan, so he actually coached me before. So having that perspective underneath him, I understand just how well he does with his athletes and the connections that he makes. I followed his career, just a little bit about Michelak. He went on to the University of Illinois where he was coaching there. He was also an RTC athlete for a while. Then he moved on to Michigan State. Been there the last 3 or 4 years. And it seems everywhere that Michelak goes, the big guys do a great job. So for me, it's a big pickup. He's somebody I trust and somebody I know will have an immediate impact on the program.
Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking this platform to announce it. And Coach Michelak, how are you, sir? Thanks for coming on. I do appreciate you. And tell us a little bit about yourself and welcome to the Campbell program, sir.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate it. I'm really, really excited to be here. Really excited to join the Campbell family. I'm just excited to start moving forward. I've been at Michigan State for 4 years, and it was just that time where I need to take the next step and start moving into a program a little bit different, broaden my horizons a little bit, and yeah, man, I'm super pumped to be here. I'm excited. Scotti gave me a call, and it was like a week later I was saying yes. I mean, the guy's going to be a great head coach. I think he's got a strong grasp on Campbell Wrestling and leading a program, and I'm really excited to join his staff and join his program. Having talked to the guys on the team here a couple times now, just the passion that they exude through him really makes me just pumped on where the program's going. So yeah, Dan, I'm really excited to be here. Really excited to just be a Camel.
Awesome. And did Scotti also mess with you about his alma mater beating you this year?
No.
I will now.
Man, being a Chippewa myself, it's always mixed emotions when I had to wrestle, coach against them. I always wanted to beat them, but at the same time, it's always a pleasure to see them doing big things up there with Coach Borelli and the Chippewas. So.
Awesome. Yeah. So Connor said he was your drill partner there, Coach Sentes.
Oh yeah, so he was the upperclassman when I came in, so he was trying to establish his dominance over me. But yeah, we went back and forth. He's tough. Connor's very tough.
Yeah, what did he say? He said here, he said you never want to. There was always one rule when wrestling Scotti: you don't shoot head inside single legs on that guy.
You might say that, but he shot a lot of head inside singles on him.
Awesome. So I have here, so you've been there 4 years now, and now you got the head coaching job. You were the assistant under Colat, I believe, yes? Yeah.
So I came here maybe in Colat's 3rd year. I kind of jumped into a really good situation. My first year here is the first year we won the SoCon championship, and since then we've sort of established ourselves as the top program in the SoCon, or at least battling for it every year.
That's awesome. Yeah, you've won, it says 3-time SoCon champs since you've been there, and back-to-back dual titles.
Yep.
I saw here. And then in the last 4 seasons alone, you've qualified 19 guys with 12 bringing home the championship at the conference level. So that's super impressive, and just building a great program. I know that you came from Riverdale High School down here in Florida. Talk a little bit about how important that foundation was to you to be who you are today.
Yeah, so it was awesome. I started in kids club with a guy named Gary Freeze, who was a legend. He was at Fort Myers. That has a very historied program there, and he was getting older and sort of kind of making his way out of coaching. Hayward moved into Riverdale. He had a guy named Keith Evans there, who's a stud. He works with the guys there still. And just getting under Hayward. Hayward had some college wrestling experience. He was really good. And there, that program just grew really quick. I remember my first year beating Lemon Bay at districts, and it was a huge deal. We won the district title, took second in regionals, and by the time I left, we were, team state champs. I think we had 6 guys make the finals, 6 guys win it. Had the biggest margin in state history between first and second. And so just those little steps of growing that program, you learned a ton under Hayward and how he did it and how he sort of changed things as the program got better. So yeah, you learn a ton from that guy for sure.
That's awesome. And Coach Michelak, if you would, please talk about your youth and what wrestling kind of the foundation it's done for you, and what I like for kids to hear what guys at your level have been able to accomplish due to being a young wrestler and kind of growing up to be you guys. So please talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, man, I started in just my local youth club, and it was only folk style wrestling. I didn't know anything about freestyle or Greco, and that's all we did. And I got joined in there. My dad didn't wrestle, didn't really know a whole lot about wrestling, but our high school program was pretty consistently in that top 10, if you will, of the state of Michigan for our class. And so I joined wrestling when I was real young, five years old, and just I fell in love with the individual aspect of no one else can claim anything what happens on the mat. It's either you go out there and you win it for yourself or you lose it for yourself. There's nothing else to it. And all the way through high school, wrestling was kind of my favorite thing to do just because of that aspect. Football, the whole team aspect, other guys affect it so much, but wrestling was just you get on the mat what you work for. And so in high school, I was a 2-time state champ, 4-time qualifier, 1-time third.
Which
and then
state?
my high school, Michigan. I grew up in Michigan. So,
Not a bad wrestling state there.
Nope, not at all. I just led our team to a state championship my senior year, and that was kind of the culmination. I really enjoyed joining a team that was close enough and knit enough and cared enough about each other to wrestle by themselves, but for the rest of the team. And I think that's something that I've carried into, my college career, my coaching career, is we are an individual sport, but you have to wrestle for more than yourself. You have to wrestle for your teammates. If you're just wrestling for yourself, it can be easy to quit when it gets hard. But if you're doing it, you don't want to let other people down. So, when you do that with that mindset that you have other people relying on you out there, that I think you wrestle a little bit harder.
Yeah, I think I say it's the greatest individual team sport you could probably be involved with. But I mean, that's kind of life, right? We live life individually, but you want to really take care of people around you and build a team. All right. So Campbell University, obviously a great program. It's growing. The coach that was there has gone on to Navy, right?
Yeah.
And he was just okay in high school. Maybe the greatest ever to live in that level, right? So you got to spend some time under him for a few years. I'm sure that was fantastic. So some things that I like to ask the coaches at Campbell, or for you, Scotti, what are the core values that you bring to the program? What core values do you expect? What do you instill in the program?
Yeah, so you choose to come to Campbell for 2 reasons, really: school and wrestling. And so we live by that, we die by that. So our guys come here, we look for guys who want to work hard. They're going to fight no matter what, under any circumstance. So we look for fighters. We look for guys to live right, act right. I want to be around people who I want my son to be around, right? I want my son to grow up like. And that's something we preach to our guys is, is if you're in a group, surround yourself with two people, you're probably the average of those two people that you surround yourself with. And so here we have a good average. You know, we want to continue bringing in the right kinds of guys. You know, I can turn my phone off at night knowing I'm not going to get a call at 1 a.m. Because our guys live right, you know. So our guys choose to come to Campbell because school and wrestling. So it makes it really easy to kind of siphon through maybe some of the kids that don't, you know, that care about other things, right? They want to pass out the football games. You know, you're not going to choose Campbell if you want to do those things. So makes
Sure.
our life pretty easy.
Awesome. So another question that I have is, so a typical week for your athletes in season and out of season, what does that look like?
So it's going to change a little bit. Actually, Wynn's been working through some of that stuff in terms of the performance side of things. I would say preseason, we start with some swimming workouts, you know, 2 to 3 times a week. And then we're heavier on the lifting side, getting in the room once or twice. And then as the year goes on, practices are a little bit longer. And then they kind of shorten down towards the end and we start spiking it. But, you know, working through some of that stuff right now, actually. So we're trying to get the first portion done and the last portion and then start plugging in between as the season goes on. That's sort of been our plan so far.
Awesome. And so and I know you've been there and you've also coached other places in college and you've been a college athlete yourself. How are you able to balance the student athletes? How do you keep them balanced between being an athlete and totally focused on Campbell Wrestling, but also being focused on the classroom and making sure those grades are up?
Yeah, so we have our academic advisors. What we do is we'll send out a grade report every 2 weeks. It'll say, you know, what's the expected grade? Are they going to class? Should they be going to class? You know, are they going to office hours, right? All that thing. So we're able to track them. So if somebody's struggling, we can catch it right away. The biggest thing about our program and our university is we're small. So our professors know who our kids are. It's almost like a high school, right? If one kid's having trouble, I could get a phone call that says, hey, Coach Sentes, we need to get this guy some help. And I can get him the tutors and all that. But us, you know, our grades are good. We've ranked in the top 10 before in our average APR. So we haven't really had that issue. Again, it just goes down to you choose to come here because you care about school and wrestling. And you know, you just get the right kinds of kids and the culture's already good. We haven't really had to kick anybody in the butt too hard.
Yeah, and that kind of says the same thing. And maybe these two questions are mixed because I'm always sending out stuff. And I think if you see on the wrestling room, since I started this, I'm learning myself. So I kind of send out, hey, any questions for the coaches or anything. And one thing that they always ask, and I think you might have touched on a little bit, is the intangibles that a coach is looking for their program. And obviously every program is built differently. But it sounds like the intangibles for you is somebody coming in that has that right mindset, that's able to work in both the wrestling room and the classroom. Is that right?
Yeah, that's every coach is going to tell you that, right?
Yeah.
Look, I'm looking for guys that can win. Now for me, I'm not looking for a specific style of wrestling necessarily, but I look at my staff. I'll look at Michelak. I'll say, okay, what kind of kids do I feel like this guy can help them win, right? And so I'm looking for a guy that at the end of the day can fight. I'm looking for a guy that maybe loses first round, battles back and gets third, or a guy that's down by 5 points and finds a way to win, or a guy that's up by 5 points, somebody's battling back and he's still wrestling and able to hold the guy off. I mean, so for us, we watch a lot of video. We look for those things. And then once they catch your eye in terms of their wrestling, this is a guy that can win. Look at that. Look at that takedown he has. He has something special there. People can't stop that. We can build on that. Well, then you start talking to the kid, you get to know him, you reach out to people in the area. Hey, is this a guy that's going to bring my team up or bring my team down? And what I mean by that is, look, I've had kids on the team, you know, in different programs that I coached at where the kid's winning by 1 point, but every match it feels like they lost, right? I don't want a kid like that, right? I'd rather have the kid who is losing every match by 1 point, but it feels like you won at the end of the day, right? Because he gets that next guy fired up. He gets the guy after that fired up and he gets the ball rolling. So I'm looking for guys to build a program around that, like guys that I'm excited to be in the corner and he excites the guy behind him. He excites the guy before him knowing he's coming up. And so that's what we look for. And so we do a lot of watching videos, a lot of reaching out to coaches. And then we reach out to coaches that are rivals of that kid, right? Because you'd be surprised at how much you can figure out from the rival coach about a certain kid in terms of how he carries himself and what he thinks.
That's awesome. Hey, so both of you wrestled for Borelli, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what is this? Connor sent me a quote that he used to say, "Be embarrassed and feel sorry for yourself in front of everyone so it never happens again." He said that that's in his dreams every night still. So I'm sure for you too, does it still stick in your claws as well?
I don't really remember that one specifically, but there's a lot of his his quotes that I dream about all the time. Yeah, I think Tom had a really great way of motivating his wrestlers to do some things that maybe people didn't expect him to do. And that was part of it. You know, he got you prepared mentally, physically, and made you believe you could do stuff that most of the country, most of the world probably didn't believe you could do.
That's awesome. So talk a little bit about, like, I had Coach Basile on yesterday, and he has one of the, if not one of the top high school coaching staffs in the country. And with this coaching staff that you guys are building, it's looking to kind of have that type of ability as well, to be top notch. How do you guys, how are you able to coach together, keep everybody focused on different things, and what do each one of you focus on? Does that make sense? The question I'm asking, kind of, how do you keep each other's egos and the common goal in check, and be able to come in and, for example, if you're coaching heavyweights and someone else is coaching the lighter kids, and then Sentes is working on building the program, and you've got a strength and coordinator, does everybody kind of work their own room, or are you guys all hands on deck together?
I think it's a bit of a combination of all of it. You know, I think we're a staff that works together, from strength and conditioning to academics to us in the room. But I don't think it can be any one thing. I don't think that, you know, I can just go down with the heavyweights all the time and say, you lighter weights, I don't want anything to do with you. I think we all have to be involved. We all have to be on the same page, because there's going to be times at tournaments or at times maybe something crazy comes up where I get sick or Scotty gets sick, and we're having to coach guys that the other one worked with. So we all have to be on the same page. And I think as a young staff, we're invigorated, we're energetic. We believe that every wrestler is different. We don't believe in one system for all of our guys. And so I think with that in mind, I think we're on the same page with where we got to go.
Oh, that's awesome. Sorry, I lost you there for a second and my internet was unconnected, but you came back in. I was a little nervous there, because when everybody, you know, the whole world does this now. So something I like to ask the guys is, what are those, and I'll ask this to both of you and you can each answer individually. What is the one wrestling match in your career that sticks in your mind, or the one that said, wow, I belong, or I can do this, or I can be great, or what was that one match that you have nightmares about, or you remember as that transition period that you said, well, I'm going to be great at this sport?
You want to go, Scotty?
I mean, yeah, look, man, the ones that stick with me are the losses. So it's always going to be the sob story ones.
Yeah.
I would say quarterfinals at the NCAA tournament in 2011. I was wrestling the Penn State guy. I had just beaten Ramos. So I was wrestling him, took him down, riding him the whole period. Literally took him down maybe in the first 10 or 15 seconds. Rode him out for the entire period up until there was 10 seconds left. And he stood up and got a defensive pin on me. So I had the legs in, yeah. And then I battled back to wrestle him again in third and fourth. And then I just wouldn't ride him at all. I took him down, let him up, took him down, let him up. And then he rode me, tired me out, and beat me again for me to take fourth at nationals. But that one drives me crazy. So just knowing that if I just wrestled and wasn't worried about things, you move on, right? So, yeah, that one was tough.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, Michelak.
Yeah. I think I try and have a short memory when it comes to losses. You know, I remember them all, but I remember them more as ways where I don't want to make the same mistakes twice. So I try and have a short memory. I try and just make adjustments from what I learned from matches. So I'd say the biggest match that I remember that really set the stage for my career, because I wasn't the big 4-time state champ from Florida like Scotti was, where everybody knew his name. He was highly recruited. I was kind of a smaller recruit, and my freshman year we were wrestling Arizona State, and I didn't know a whole lot of big name wrestlers, and I had to wrestle Ryan Bader, who was a returning All-American. He had been 4th the year before, pretty big name. I think he was ranked 2nd in the country at the time. And
even a dumb guy like me heard the name before.
Right. But I had no idea who he was. I'm just some freshman. So I went out there and I just wrestled him, and he took me down like right away, got 2-2, like hit a slide by, took me down, got 2-2. But I didn't know who he was. I'm like, I got caught in that crap again. And so I just got up and I started wrestling hard and started pushing pace and coming back on him. And I think I ended up majoring him. So that was, and then after the match, I go back and I'm running sprints, cooling down. Like, that guy should have never taken me down. And he's watching me. You know, he's this guy that's just watching me run sprints. Like, I'm not done. And our assistant coach comes back here, Casey Cunningham, and he looks at me, he goes, "You know who that was?" And I go, "No, but I should have beat him by more. I should have given up that 4 points." And he goes, that's Ryan Bader. He was 4th in the country last year. And I go, "No, he wasn't." So that was kind of a realization for me.
Maybe that's good.
Maybe
that's good, because maybe if you knew he was Ryan Bader and was 4th in the country, you would have been like, "Oh no."
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would have, or I don't know if I wouldn't have. But that match really, for me, in my mind, solidified that I belonged in Division I wrestling with the best guys in the country. And so yeah,
awesome.
That's my biggest one.
What do you tell kids right now that are there are obviously a lot of people home right now because we can't be out. As far as you have student athletes, but also the youth that was looking forward to the off season and that next step in their young career. What would you tell them to be doing at home right now to kind of stay in shape and just keep their mind right? Because there's a lot of mental angst right now, I'm sure. And what are you guys doing, and what would you tell the families and kids to do at home, just trying to keep everything in perspective?
Well, what I would say is, hey, this is an advantage. This is everybody in the country. This is harder on everybody else in the country but you, because everybody wants to sit around and watch movies and be on Netflix and Hulu. And so this is where you can actually distance yourself. This gives you the biggest advantage to distance yourself from the rest of the country, right? And if you think there's not somebody else out there thinking like that, getting better, trying to be whatever it is, a state champ, a 2-time state champ, that isn't doing that work, then you're crazy. But you're going to have all those guys behind them that are just going to get left behind. And at the end of this, you're going to find out, which guys had that mindset, which guys didn't, because at some point we're going to get out of this situation we're in. And we'll see who put the work in. And everybody knows there's things you can do at home. There's body weight stuff. There's eating better. There's living better. There's cardio you can do. There's body weight. There's a lot of ways you can get better. There's video review. We've been doing a lot of video review. So there's a lot of different ways you can get better right now. So it's just, you have to understand, people are still racing to the top. You might be at home. You might not see what other people are doing, but they're still doing it. People are still getting better. So
for sure,
in that position, be the one that after the end of this all, you're ready to rock.
Now, something, Coach Michelak, I know I see if you walk into what's the meme, like, hey, the heavyweight is up and nobody's there to watch him because everybody's went home already. Very rarely do I walk into like a tournament and you see these heavyweights that are just in tip-top shape. Like you see a couple of them, like the kid from LHP, and there was another kid from I forget the school, but they look like they're lean and in shape. How do you, I know you get a lot of good wrestlers that are just lineman type bodies. And then what do you tell them to do to kind of maybe lean up, but keep that muscle so they can still be at that weight and make a difference. Because I see in the heavyweight matches, the ones that have a little bit of cardio tend to get further along in that match.
Yeah, I think I've actually had this conversation with some of our heavyweights because they've been asking me, maybe they're coming from a lighter weight and they're trying to get big, but they want to put the right kind of weight on. And, I think my philosophy has always been like, you put weight on that you can handle, that you feel good and agile and strong with. You don't put weight on to the point where you feel sluggish. And as soon as you start feeling sluggish, or that last minute of the match feels like just, I got to get through it. We want to dominate the last minute of the match. We want to be scoring all the points in the last minute. We don't want to be struggling to just hold on. And if you get to that point, then you need to think about leaning out a little bit more. So, at Campbell, we have great strength and conditioning